once again. Today guys, we're going to go through how to prepare for an exam. So you have an upcoming exam. What's a really good way, an effective way to prepare for that exam, to get that B+ or the A or even A+ grade. So some good tips here. Short and sweet presentation too. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel here guys. There's some awesome tips here on academic related material and advice here. Various presentations I've made here. Feel free to scan through it. And as I mentioned, a lot of stuff here could help you in your academic study at college and also university. So do check out my channel. Awesome. Let's get to the presentation straight away. So here we go. So welcome to preparing for exams. So what's the first thing you need to consider when you prepare for an exam is to make a planner. Make a schedule of what you are going to study every day. That's quite important, right? Make sure you keep a detailed, structured planner of what you are studying every day, so you don't forget to study something, and also know what you have actually studied previously, right? So for example, you're going to say maybe on a Monday I'm going to study mathematics, I'm going to study physics, okay? Then on Tuesday I'm going to study my English and chemistry perhaps. So you're keeping a detailed record of what you have studied. All right, you're not just going to study everything all together at once and not record what you have studied, because you may forget some important information, right? So that's pretty important, right? Make sure you make a planner. What I normally do is I have an A4 piece of paper and I just make a table and I make a schedule of what I'm going to study each day of the week, right? So I've got a detailed schedule, a detailed record of what I've studied and what I have not. So try to use a planner or some kind of schedule. Alright guys, awesome. Let's move on. The next tip would be try to know the format of the actual exam. Ask your professor or your lecturer or your teacher what the exam could be about. What kind of questions? Is it going to be multiple choice, true, false, matching? And that way you need to study a lot of detail. Or is it going to be how to write an essay? Is it going to be essay based? Is it an opinion essay? What kind of stuff are you expected to include? Right? So that's always a good idea. Ask your professor. Don't be scared to ask questions, or your teacher, about what the exam could consist of, because that can prepare you mentally for what the exam could be about, right? Awesome. Let's move on. The next step is active recall. Active recall. Yeah. So this is really, really important. This is a really, probably the most important tip. When you study, a lot of the time, perhaps some people, they will study, they'll just read a page, turn over, read a page, turn over, read a page, turn over. Oh, I've read 10 pages of this textbook, that's it, my study's done. But how much have you actually really learned? So what we mean by active recall is active learning. Once you read something, or a passage, a bit of information, ask yourself a question on what you have just read. Ask yourself a question. Test yourself. This is what we mean by active recall. You're actually making yourself think. You're going deep down into your brain to get the information. You're asking yourself a question about a piece of text or a passage that you have read. Don't just read something and that's it. Oh, I've read it. Now I know it. Not necessarily. You need to test yourself. Ask yourself a question about what you have read. That's active recall. Awesome, guys. Got that? Perfect. Let's move on. The next step is try to change your learning environment. Yeah, try to change it. Don't just always study in the same place. Vary it. You can study in your study if you have one, or your room. In maybe outside, you can do that. But try to vary your learning environment, right? It can help you also learn, and it can motivate you to want to study. It won't be the same boring place that you're going to. Try to change your learning environment. That's a good idea, right? So don't just stick to one place when you're studying for an exam. Moving on, Try to review old material. Maybe your teacher or lecturer have got access to old material, old exam papers, previous exams. Maybe you can try and have a look at those. It'll give you an idea of what the exam could be about, possible similar questions. So always try to ask the teacher or whoever's teaching you to give you access to old exam papers or old questions that were asked previously. So once again, you've got a mental image, you're getting prepared to what kind of questions could come next, right? Awesome. Man, it's getting hot in here. Let me just take this off. Okay, so let's move on to the next tip. All right, stress. We all suffer from stress at some point when studying, right? But the most important thing here is to take a break. Take a break when you are studying. Don't just study for 2 hours straight or 3 hours straight. My goodness, my head is going. You need to take regular breaks. I recommend 40 to 50 minutes. 40 to 50 minutes. Study and take a break. Do something that you enjoy. Yeah, maybe use social media, go outside, get some fresh air, but whatever you enjoy. Take your mind off your studies, but do it in blocks. Don't just study hour after hour after hour. Study for at least 40 to 50 minutes. Make sure that's really important because that will help you the concentration. And it'll help the amount of information you can actually take in. Because after a certain amount of time, your mind gets tired, right, of taking in too much information. It needs a break, all right? So try to remember that, 45 to 50 minutes, take a break, come back to your studies. Awesome. Okay, final tip, sleep. Wow, we all need sleep, right? Don't cut down on your sleep because of your studying, right? Don't go to an exam with only 2 or 3 hours sleep, right? You need to have sleep. Sleep will help you with your concentration, right? The lack of sleep that you have, the less sleep that you have, probably when you go into an exam, you're not going to be very enthusiastic about answering those questions because you'll be so tired. You're not going to have much mental energy to tackle some really difficult questions, right? So try to remember that. Do try to get some sleep, right? Some decent sleep. Establish a routine a week or two before your exams. Get sufficient amount of sleep so when you go into the exam, your mind is, fully charged, 100%. Yeah, you're ready to go into that exam. All right, don't go into the exam really tired and and sleepy because probably you're not going to be able to give your 100% in that exam. But if you had sufficient sleep, you're fully charged, you're ready to rock and you're ready to roll. You're ready to attack that test. You're ready to really do your best. All right, guys. So these are some tips for you today. Please do remember them when you're preparing for an exam. It could help you. Thanks so much for joining me again, guys. It's been awesome to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, and see you later.